Okay, I think we're live everywhere right now. Hey, everybody, Regina Anley here, and it is time for Coffee with Regina. And I have my friend back with me, Ken Attard from Malta. Yes, he is in Malta right now. I know everybody looks at Malta and says, wow, that seems like really cool. Well, you know what? Ken is really cool. And let me tell you a little bit about Ken. He is the founder of Mindset Malta. We're going to have a great chat about mindset today. And after successfully working with various clients for over 20 years, he now specializes as a mindset consultant, specifically helping frustrated entrepreneurs adapt and shift their mindset using his proprietary ARC method. And this is such a cool method. I know Ken, I've seen his stuff, and it helps you focus, sustain consistency, and move towards what he likes to call true freedom. And it's guaranteed. Welcome, Ken.
Welcome. Here's some coffee.
How was that? Was that timing like a waitress?
I like, was that perfect or what? And I'm just trusting now that the light is going to dawn on me here. Literally, the light is going to settle. And here we go. We got a bit more brightness. I don't know what's going on today. We were talking about that a bit before. And yeah, I'm looking forward to this chat. As we have discussed many a time, we know that mindset really is it really is the basis of everything. Every single result experience that you are having in your life at this point in time is happening because of the way you're predominantly thinking, to make it really simplified. And I love making things as simple as possible. Yeah, I'm based on the island of Malta. I love it here. I just think it's a magnificent place to be. Born in Toronto, Canada, yet have been here in Malta now for the last 45 years. So looking forward to this conversation and where it's going to go.
Yeah, and I love it. And yeah, we've got the light thing going on here. So my friend Ken the alien is with us.
I don't know what's going on, man. Come on, computer. You can do this.
Technology at its finest, right?
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
So I know, Ken, I was actually thinking back, and I think May of 2022 or 2021 was the very first Coffee with Regina, and I think you were my very first guest.
You are correct. That's right. I thought you might mention that today. I remember that you were just you were starting with the Coffee Regina, and you had kindly asked me to be your first guest, and we're back again.
Right, and look at how far we've both come in. I think it's 3 years. I think it was like
absolutely.
At least 2.5, 3 years ago.
So many things have let's say changed and evolved, and are continuing to. I mean, and this is one of the things that I like to talk about as well when it comes to change. It's been said over and over how change is the only constant, and the fact of the matter is, as much of a cliche as it may sound, it is a truth. It is the truth that change is constantly happening. And yeah, so much has happened over the course of the last couple of years. Even myself, like I look at myself as well over the course of the last 3 years, and how certain things have evolved as well. Even the way that I'm positioning myself personally with entrepreneurs as well, and the momentum that is there and is continuing to increase as we move along. And the same thing with you, and how things have evolved for you, and some of the shifts that we make. We talk about I talk about adapting and pivoting, and how we make those shifts. And the real important part that I think is really essential for entrepreneurs to understand is that it's embracing that shift. It's embracing that change. Although there are times when there potentially is some frustration. There's some like, something was working and now for some reason it's not working, and we have to make a change. We have to make a change, adapt, shift it. And this is where the mindset comes in, because when that is in place, when you really start to understand how you're thinking, and how and the way you're thinking is having a profound effect on everything, that awareness on its own really just starts to make things so much more easier. And for me, that is the essence of like real success as well, is being able to, still have that joy, still have that passion, still enjoy what you're doing, even while you're swaying through the difficult times.
Yeah, when you were just talking about that, way back when I was back in corporate world, many, like a couple of lifetimes ago, I had read the book Who Moved My Cheese. And I think it was like almost when it first came out. It was like, it's the, I don't know, 80s, maybe? I don't know, somewhere around there. And that was like the first time that I really started embracing change, because that book, if I'm not sure if you even know the Who Moved My Cheese. If not, you need to check it out.
I know that you're gonna believe I know the book. I know the book, yet I have
Inside
not
and out.
read it.
Yeah. Yeah, we have hem and haw and sniff and
Yeah.
scratch or
Yeah.
sniff and scurry. And for those of you who have not read Who Moved My Cheese, it's this tale of these two pairs of, I don't know. Are they all mice? I don't even know. It's like there's these two pairs, and scratch and sniff, and I think it's hem and haw, scratch and scurry. I don't know. Scratch. I keep saying scratch and sniff because I'm pulling this out of my head. I haven't read the book in ages, and it's all about change. The book is about embracing change, and it's a story about these four, and two go one way, two go the other way, two totally embrace change, two basically sit there and go, well, why'd you move my cheese? You didn't need to move my cheese. I'm just going to sit here until somebody puts some cheese back. And of course they never do. So of course they fail and they're not happy and they go hungry. And the other two are like, all right, well, apparently they're not bringing any cheese back, so we're going to have to do something different. We have to change. And it's all about embracing that change. And back when I first got that book, the mindset of everybody around me, remember I was in corporate world at the time, was change is hard.
Yeah.
And at that point in time, that was where I fully embraced, was like, no, it's not. Change is actually fun. That was a mindset shift.
Yeah, and definitely, and that's a huge paradigm shift. And again, it's really perceptions. Like, I mean, perceptions play such an important part when it comes to how we're perceiving the world. And we're perceiving the world, our work, our relationships, our spirituality, our wealth, our health. We're perceiving it according to our beliefs. And those beliefs, where those beliefs have come from, whether it's from your childhood, which there definitely were some beliefs that were instilled, change potentially. I think change nowadays, and with the information that's available, I think change now is accepted much more widely. The fact that things change is accepted much more widely than potentially it was when we were younger, in the sense of, we were taught, you find essentially get a good education, get a good job, and stick with that job pretty well for the rest of your life. Like, if you manage to get a good job, stick with that job for the rest of your life. It wasn't about like, okay, that's your job for now, maybe something even better is going to come along. I remember when I first started working, and I was a banker, that was considered, let's say, somewhat of a prestigious job way back in 1985. It's a steady job, it's a decent pay, the working hours were decent, and all of these things. And when it came for me to leave that job, it was considered a big thing. What, you're leaving the bank? Like, what are you, crazy? Like, it's a steady. And nowadays it's such a normality. It really is a normality, just to see over the course of years how consciousness is expanding as well, and how things are changing and perceptions are changing, and it's much more well accepted. Now, the cool thing is this, though, and I think this is where successful people really lead the way, is that they don't wait for things to change to become the norm for them to change. They decide, what, I think this is going to be a much better way of doing things. And I see this all the time with entrepreneurs and mindset. When it comes to mindset tends to be the thing that still is somewhat put on the back burner. It's sort of like, it's the thing that I'll get to when I've got all of my, everything in place. I've got all my ducks in a row, and then I'll consider looking into mindset, because then I think I'll have enough time. Whereas not realizing it's actually the reverse, that if you actually delve into mindset and you actually really take it on and within a dedicated way, it's actually going to help you to and dare I say, get those ducks in a row, because those ducks in a row can be scattered very quickly. Yet, dare I say, it will help you to be much more efficient to getting those ducks in as much of a row as possible. Yet, it's still looked at the reverse, and this is where I think, again, entrepreneurs who are really, really on the cusp of being successful shift things, because they decide, okay, I'm going to do things differently. I'm going to be looking at things from a completely different angle, a completely different perception. And just because, and this ties in nicely with true freedom, just because the majority of people are saying, nah, it ain't going to work. It's not going to work. I don't think you're going to be able to do it. I don't have to listen to that necessarily. It doesn't mean I don't take on their advice. It doesn't mean that I don't listen. Yet I don't have to take action according to what they believe. I'm going to be taking action according to what I believe. Now, will it work out always? Potentially not. But what a great experience you're going to be having, and the joy of actually creating something that's yours. I think that's one of the greatest things that what we're doing as well, and as we see over the course of the last couple of years, like you mentioned, is that we've created some new stuff for our clients. We've created new stuff and come from a different angle for ourselves, and we continue to grow ourselves as well. And I think this is absolutely essential.
Yeah, I mean, anybody who's in business these days, you know, the business landscape has been changing. I mean, even just with COVID. So when COVID happened, everybody and their brother who got laid off or couldn't work or whatever decided to become a coach. So coaches and consultants, that business, this industries became very saturated with people who probably shouldn't be business coaches or health coaches or nutrition coaches or whatever they chose to be. They just know something, but they might not know business, and it might not be their spot. And that's okay. They were just looking for something at that point in time. One of the good things that came out of that, though, is all of those people who did that, even if they go back to corporate or whatever they were doing before, they actually understood that mindset change shift, that, you know what? I can do this. I can go do something else. Let me go try this. It might not necessarily be where I stay forever. I might go back to corporate world. You know what? I'm not doing anything else right now. Let me go try this. And for a lot of people, that was a massive, massive shift. And so they had to really, adapt and pivot their mindset to get them to a different place.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. And having, even having the courage to do that. Like that takes courage to be able to do that, especially if it was very new, a very new territory for someone. And courage is a great step. And what the great thing about that shift is, like you're saying, wherever they go and whatever they decide to do, they're gonna have that courage, even in whatever industry that they might potentially move on to. They're going to have that courage to say, you know what, could we look at things a bit differently? And this is where, again, the catalyst to success happens, when you decide to do things differently. Like, one of my biggest pet peeves when it comes to the entrepreneurial world is this thing that we're told, how difficult things have to be, how hard things have to be, what a struggle it has to be, what a sacrifice it has to be, and continuously hear this over and over. Believe it or not, when I deliver the message to entrepreneurs, whether I'm speaking to a group of people, whether I'm speaking to an individual, and I'm talking about the fact that it doesn't have to be hard, that there doesn't have to be this hustle, and there doesn't have to be this grind, and all these wonderful words that are used nowadays. And I say this with the utmost respect to the people who use that, because that's the belief that they have. When I talk about this with others and say, listen, it doesn't have to be that way. It can actually be on the flip side. It can actually be flowing. It can actually be easy. It can actually be fun. Yes, you'll have your challenges. When I say this, there are many, especially leaders, who find that like really difficult to comprehend. Really difficult to comprehend that. What do you mean easy? What do you mean? It has to be hard. No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. And I just love the light that's on me right now. I'm choosing to believe that that's the Holy Spirit
There you
that's
go.
glowing on me.
Let that light shine down, baby.
Yeah.
You know,
So these are all paradigm shifts.
yeah, and I mean, what you're talking about is choice. So as we grow up, as we, these beliefs that are instilled in us, I mean, because none of us are born with a bunch of limiting beliefs or a bunch of ideas on how things should be. We're taught all of this stuff,
Yeah.
whether it's through experiences or, through what our parents went through. And so they, put it on us or whatever it is, it gets placed on us. And one of the things that, like you said, the pet peeve, one of my pet peeves is that people just don't really get it, that, yeah, there was a lot of stuff. All of us have that stuff that was placed on us. And you get to choose what part of it you want to keep and what you want to get rid of and go do something different. And that's where people, and I will use the word get stuck. They get stuck in the space going, no, it has to be hard. It's supposed to be hard. This is work. Work by definition is hard. It's like, really? That's how you look at it. That's not how I look at it. I don't think it's hard at all. I do what I love. So work for me is actually fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And what happens is they get stuck, like you said, and they get trapped. And they get trapped in, and again, it doesn't mean that anything is better or worse or anything like that. Yet that they get trapped simply because they continue to do the same thing over and over. It's as simple as that. And again, it's what they know. And this is what is really key when it comes to mindset. They continue to look at the outside world from the perception that they have. If they're not willing to look at potentially a different perception and say, let me see, what could I look at? What about my work could actually be fun, for instance? And the trap is that if you continue to look at the reality that you are seeing right now with your eyes, hearing with your ears, touching, feeling, all of these, that if you continue to look at that reality, you're going to, and from the perception that you have, you will continue to find justification for your beliefs, because what you are believing is creating the outside world. What is your inner world? Your outer world is simply a reflection of your inner world. That inner world, what do we mean by that inner world? Those beliefs, those thoughts that you are perpetually having. So if you do have a really strong belief of the fact that, let's say, life is hard, your outer world will reflect that. And you will be right. Like, no one can deny the fact that if you're looking at something and you're seeing, difficult circumstances come up and all of these things, you're gonna see that, you're gonna see your world from the eyes of, you see, I'm right. It's gonna justify it for you. Now, this is the cool part. When you can start to make the mindset shifts, when you can start to understand, well, what if I could have a shift in my beliefs? How could I shift the way I think? Because 95% of the way you are functioning is through your beliefs, is through your unconscious habits, that they're just happening automatically. You get out of the same side of bed every single day, more than likely in the same way. You go through the same routine in the morning, more than likely in the same way. Make a decision tomorrow and say, even if you just made that small decision, say, you know what, tomorrow I'm going to get out of bed differently. I guarantee you, for you to do that, you're going to really have to think about it. Like, you're really going to have to consciously think about it and say, okay, wait a second. I said, today I'm going to get out of the other side of the bed. And you're going to have to think about that, because unconsciously we just go through the same pattern. Now, you can do that in your everyday life as well. And you say, you know what? I'm no longer going to self-doubt myself. I've been self-doubting myself for the last 20 years. I'm going to no longer, that's the old Ken. I'm no longer going to doubt myself. And today I'm going to do things different. I'm going to think in a way that I'm not doubting myself, that I'm beginning to trust myself. Now, you might find yourself falling back into your default during the day. Yet if you really consciously keep it top of mind, you'll start making some different decisions. You'll making some different choices. Like you said, the choice is very important. I like to describe it like this life, it's your party, and you can cry if you want to. Right? And it's your party. So when you are organizing a party and it's your party, you decide who you're inviting to your party. You decide the venue. You decide the music. You decide the food that you want there. You decide all the decorations. You decide. And it's the same thing with your life. Yet so many have been caught up and trapped, and this is where the trap is that they're not designing their life anymore. They're just going through the motions and reacting to the circumstances that are happening around them. And when I purposely say reacting, which is reacting, you are just acting in the same way over and over again. Yet if you were to look at your circumstances outside of you, and rather than react in the same way that you always did, what if you could respond differently? Meaning now you're responding, you're taking responsibility and responding in a different way and saying, okay, I'm not a victim of this circumstance. How could I respond differently to get a different result if you're not happy with the results you're getting in that particular instance? And this is where one can start to make those shifts. And the cool thing is this, they don't have to be huge shifts. I don't know. It could be something as simple as, I don't know, you've always taken, I don't know, sugar in your coffee. I don't know. And you've decided, I want to change that. I don't want to take sugar anymore in my coffee. And today you make a decision. You say, okay, I'm going to take 1 teaspoon instead of 2 teaspoons, if that was the case. And you're changing something, and you're changing something small, yet that small change is now going to add and be part of the significant change that can happen over a course of time.
Right. And you know what? You just packed so much great stuff in there. I want to go back to one thing that really stood out for me, and that is that your subconscious is running your life unless you choose to not let it.
Yeah. And to choose, well, I think ultimately, yeah, it will be those, because once you create a habit, then it's going to take over subconsciously. You'll just automatically do stuff. So it's a matter of, and this is why the conscious thinking. So I'm pointing to the front of the head, the frontal cortex, because that's where it takes place. That's what makes us different from animals, right? The frontal cortex, that we can actually think consciously. It's using that amongst other tools. There are other tools and ways to do things, but it's using that to change that unconscious thinking. So what I'm saying is, you have to make that, let's say, effort to decide and say, okay, I want to change this part. Today I'm no longer thinking like that. That's the old me. And as you do that, you shift it, and what you do is, and you're rightly saying, is that now you shift that habit, you create a new one. And as you create a new one, the old one sort of like dissipates, it dies, because now you've created a new one. So now you've got a new program. So it's okay that it's unconscious, but now it's a resourceful one, because you've got a lot. And then this is the other thing. Listeners have to understand this as well. Well, they don't have to. They can if they want to. Yeah. Is that you've got a lot of really good behaviors going on as well that you automatically do. Those are good. Keep those. It's a matter of becoming aware of your thinking. And this is where I wanted to go with this. It's a matter of becoming aware of your thinking and recognizing, okay, so this particular area of my life, I'm not 100% happy with. So, I'm not completely happy with my health. And you start becoming aware of your choices, like you said as well, the choices, and which are aligned with, those choices are going to be aligned with your beliefs, with your thinking, with what you are getting out of your behaviors, because you're getting some sort of gain out of it. So if you're an overeater, for instance, if someone's eating more, and I'm talking about health, and again, remind me, I'm going to give you this word, remind me, worthiness. This is important. We'll put it in, we'll stick this in. But, so you say, you know what, you recognize that you're really eating a little too much. So you make a decision and you say, I'm going to track what I'm eating, so that I can actually see, if I am eating a little too much. And I'm going to track what I'm eating, because potentially I'm not overeating, yet I could potentially be eating better food, for instance. And you start to track that, but you have to consciously do that, Now, if you're not used to tracking it, like you're going to have to remind yourself, oh man, I'm tracking my food. But your body has memorized so many behaviors as well. And this is key. Not long ago, I attended a Joe Dispenza conference, and I love what he teaches. And this was what stood out for me a lot as well, is how the body memorizes these emotions with so the gratification, for instance, from having the eating, from eating, for instance, and the gratification from that. And I've been experimenting recently. So I've been doing a lot of longer term fasting recently. And this is a really classic example of really being conscious of your thoughts. Because when it's noontime, 1:00, the body starts going, it's lunchtime. What's going on? Where's the food? Right? And you respond, right? You're like, yeah, man, I'm feeling a bit hungry. Like it's time to eat. And we respond. But now if I've decided, oh no, wait a second, today I'm fasting. So now I'm thinking differently. Because previously with that unconscious behavior, what's happening is the body becomes the master rather than the mind. But now when I decide and consciously say, wait a second, no, it's not, there's no lunch today. Today's a fasting day. That was an old behavior. Now the mind is becoming the master again over the body. And as we do that, this is where we recreate the program. And what I wanted to tie in before I forget the worthiness, because we talked about food, and this can be a real big issue for people, health or whatever it is. I don't care if you're an overeater. I don't care if you don't want to take care of your health. I don't care if you're financially successful. I don't care if you're doing amazingly well, all of these wonderful things. I don't care where you are. What I want you to understand is, irrespective of all of those things, and this is part of the true freedom, your worthiness is never compromised. So for those of you listening and thinking you're less because you have an eating problem, for instance, or a health, but whatever it is, you're not. I want you to understand that you're not less. Far from it. And this is really important, because when you start to recognize and realize that your worthiness is never compromised, this is a huge thing for so many people, because now you can actually say to yourself, I'm still good. I'm good enough. I'm good enough. My worthiness isn't compromised. I'm just shifting some behaviors. There's just some behaviors I want to shift, because what I'm doing right now are unresourceful. But your worthiness never compromised. And I think it's very important for entrepreneurs to understand this, because now, if you actually truly understood that your worthiness is never compromised, this means potentially you're starting to learn that other people's worthiness is never compromised. And now I can look at someone not through the eyes of just the physical. I can take this beyond and recognize this person's just like me. I'm no better. I'm no worse. I'm just like them. And I think this is where part of the true freedom definitely comes into play.
I love that. And believe it or not, we are just about out of time.
Kidding already?
I know, right? We could talk about this forever and go on and on about mindset, because you and I, we're both in that mindset place. If you were going to give like 3 tips for somebody who's going, you know what, but I feel stuck in this place. I don't know where to start. Where would you tell them to start? You actually gave a couple good tips about, starting small. So where would you tell them to start?
I would definitely start. For me, it's about appreciation. It's about gratitude. I would start with recognizing what you could be appreciative of right now, for what you potentially have already. And then I would get them to the point when you actually start to appreciate all the great stuff that's coming, and creating an emotion behind that about all the great stuff that is coming. So that when you start to tap into that emotion, you begin to actually create your future. Now we know future, past, non-existent, it's only now, but in the now, right now, as you're thinking about your future and how that would feel and being appreciative of that fantastic future, you are literally creating it. So I would definitely start from there is appreciation. You could just waking up first thing in the morning and either writing down in a gratitude, journal or an appreciation journal. And just as you're waking up, if you can do that, for those who can't, it doesn't matter. Find a time in the day to do that. The other thing that I would suggest is absolutely find 15 minutes a day, just 15 minutes a day. Start off with that. If you have to start off with 5, that's fine, of complete solitude. So just complete solitude. So you're breaking off from internet, you're breaking off from spouses, children, all your gadgets, everything. Just 5 minutes to 15 minutes of just solitude, and just not to contemplate, not to overthink stuff, and that just stay quiet and just notice your breathing, and just say, I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out, and just notice your breathing and just watch what happens. Just watch. Some interesting stuff could potentially happen. You just might feel a calmness, a peace. And all you're doing by doing that is really just tapping into who you truly are, the essence of who you are. And this is what my suggestion is this as well, is learning to tap into that is probably the most profound thing you will ever do in your life. And it's going to affect everything in your life, because that and we're talking about change, that part of you, who you truly are, that's what never changes. It's only all the facades that we put up that creates the mirage of changes. But when you drop those facades and tap into who you are, then nothing changes. And the last thing that I would suggest, remember to laugh a lot more, especially when you can laugh at yourself.
I love those tips. Those are fabulous, Ken. Oh my gosh, thank you so much for being here. Now, you have some stuff. You have a Facebook page for Mindset Malta, and I'll put that up in a sec. But you have a download for folks. Tell us about
I do.
that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not actually the website that's there at the moment. In actual fact, what it is, and it's actually it's a free online program, and they just simply have to go to growth, the number 4, entrepreneurs.com, and they can get a little bit more information about myself, but they also can register for a free online program there, which is going to be, it's a short program. It's not long. It's not going to inundate you as you right now are saying to yourself, I don't have enough time. It's not going to inundate you. And you may have the opportunity as well there to engage with me, even in real time, going through that program. And you have all the instructions and everything. So that's what I would highly suggest. And it's going to give you a really good foundation of why mindset is so crucial to your business and to your life.
Okay, so did I spell that right?
Growth for entrepreneurs.com. That's it. Perfect. Awesome. Yes. Brilliant.
Yeah. So that is there, and I'll make sure for all the folks that are catching the replay and catching us live that all of these links are on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube underneath the video. And here is the Facebook page as well, Mindset Malta Entrepreneurs. And Ken is just absolutely amazing. Every conversation I have with Ken, I leave happier because he always makes me laugh. And, it's just more up, Ken is just such a positive, authentic soul. And so definitely connect with Ken, whether it's through his the growthforentrepreneurs.com page, whether you go to his Facebook page. If you do both, it's fabulous. He has tons of information to share, and he is the mindset guy. He really is.
Thank you so much, Regina. It's always a pleasure.
All right. Thank you so much, Ken, for being here. And we will see you all next time on Coffee with Regina. Bye for now.